Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting The Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts. And I'm excited to kick off Season 2 of our podcast series in partnership with Rappahannock Electric Cooperative. It's called We Are REC. Every week we'll release a new episode talking to different people from REC about a host of different topics. We'll get tips for saving money on your electric bill. We'll talk about renewable energy and the impact it can have in our communities. We'll get some behind-the-scenes info about what happens when the power goes out in a storm. Don't miss out on information about community grants, scholarships, REC-hosted events, and more. Get every single episode on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab, or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or on Spotify. Just do a quick search for We Are REC. Hello and welcome to The Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. I know I spoiled all of my listeners by doing a live show yesterday, even though technically as I'm recording this show, it is still yesterday, I guess. It is Wednesday afternoon, but I am recording the show that you are listening to, of course, now on Thursday afternoon with two of my favorite guests that I'm bummed that we're not sitting in the studio together. I'm not so much bummed that Chris's face isn't showing up on the Zoom screen, but at least I get to see Tony Baker. So Tony and Chris are here from Frederick County Parks and Rec, and I'm excited because the governor's announcement that Phase 2 will start on Friday is huge for you guys at Parks and Rec, isn't it?
It is. It really opens things up for us, and we're really excited to get things open back up. We've had a lot of people in the parks, but we've had a lot of amenities that have been off limits, and we're hoping that through Phase 2 we can get some of those opened up and allow people to enjoy them.
So what does Phase 2 look like from the Parks and Rec's perspective?
For the most part, a lot of our facilities will open, but we'll have restrictions. So a lot of that stuff's coming back. There are some things like the pool that we're still trying to figure out. We're not necessarily allowed to have general swim, but we can have instructional activities and programs. So and lap swim. So we're trying to figure some of that out and how that's going to work. It is a bummer that, we're heading into summer and, we can't exactly use our pools, which is something that everyone looks forward to in the summertime. But there still is a lot of great stuff that you can do in our parks. At Sharanda, we've got the mountain biking trails, disc golf. We just opened a really cool bike park with ramps and some elevated obstacles. And that's been something that's popular and through using social distancing, we've been able to keep some of that stuff going. As we go into Phase 2, we'll just kind of get to increase some of the activity in the parks.
Well, and I think it's important, and we talked about this briefly before we started recording for the show. Even during Phase 1, you guys weren't closed. You still had to maintain the parks. You still had to do everything from a work perspective, even though things like the public bathrooms and things like that were closed. The parks themselves were still open to take a walk, to go hiking, to do all of that. So you really weren't off, so to speak.
No, yeah, we just kept on cruising through it. We had to close some things down, but our maintenance staff and actually our basic rec staff really pitched in a lot. Some of the office staff here pitched in the maintenance side of things. And that was, I think, a really kind of cool thing, for people to get to see kind of how the other side of the department works. And because we maintain the grounds at the schools too. So that's a huge, in terms of labor, that's a big thing that we have going on all year round. We had people that normally might be in the office who were out riding mowers or weed eating. And it was, I think, probably a good experience. I'm sure everyone's ready to get back into a normal routine, but it's good for people to get to see how other parts of the department function.
Yeah, the silver lining is that a lot of these recreational staff have a new appreciation for our maintenance staff, because for the last couple months they've been out there, you know, covering, like Tony said, some of the things, and just like everybody in quarantine, you know, doing the home improvement projects and that kind of stuff. We were able to do a couple things. In particular, the addition to the mountain bike trail probably wouldn't have gotten done if it wasn't for phase one and allowing extra staff to get into the park and do some of these things, which is kind of cool for the patrons because it's a new amenity that people can take advantage of. So yeah, we definitely have a new appreciation for our park guys and gals that work out there.
Now, is that bike park at Sharando?
Yeah, it's off of Warrior Drive. So last year we added a cool outdoor exercise equipment feature off of Warrior Drive in what we call the northwest portion of the park. And there's a restroom facility there and this outdoor weight equipment. Just south of that, basically at the other end of an open grassy field, we've added this a bike park. It's made up of 14 different obstacles, ramps, kind of elevated boardwalk looking obstacles. And it's something that's actually been pretty popular. We were pushed to get it open. I'll say it was something that people were taking advantage of before it was really open, but we're glad to have it open now. We'll have some sort of grand opening at some point, but everyone's already using it.
Yeah, that 10-person gathering was getting pushed there at the mountain bike.
Yeah, disc golf was another popular activity people took advantage of during quarantine. They could get out there in small groups and you can kind of maintain a distance from others while doing it. And of course you have your own discs. So that was another popular activity that people were taking advantage of.
And I think that's a perk to the park systems as a whole, is because of what they are and how they're structured. It is a whole lot easier to keep your social distance if you're hiking a trail or you just want to go for a walk and still get outside and not be trapped in your house.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot to do. Sharando Park offers a lot. We had people I know at Clearbrook that are mostly walkers up there, but they're taking advantage of fishing and actually one cool thing this weekend, it's free fishing. Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries. It's you don't have to have a fishing license this weekend to fish. So it's something. Get out to Clearbrook. I was out there shooting a little video last week, and you could see bass just swimming right underneath the surface. So get out there and take advantage of free fishing this weekend.
And the fish is probably going to be great and easy to catch because they've kind of had a break for a while. You haven't had a bunch, because I know there are regulars that typically go there on their own set schedule that may not have been doing that over the last couple of weeks. So they may just jump right out of the water into your bag.
That's right.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. We wanted to keep the parks open during phase one just to give families and people a chance to go outside and walk, run, take advantage of some of the amenities that remained open. I mean, that was key. Obviously our goal is to keep people active and engaged and that kind of stuff. And then we had a ton of stuff on our Facebook page where we did virtual activities and gave people creative ideas on how to keep busy and just how to stay in touch with us as we move toward phase two, where now we're able to, start. Since the restrictions are lessened, we're able to start opening some facilities and then, slowly start getting back into, doing some of these organized programs.
Well, and that's going to be kind of my next question. I mean, Tony touched on the pool a minute ago, but Chris, what about some of the things like the running clubs? Because I would think they would be relatively easy to bring back in a smaller group and keep your distance. Well, it would be real easy for me to keep my distance because I'd be in last place no matter what I was doing. But are you guys kind of now looking at all your programs and saying, okay, well, these are ones we can theoretically bring back now in phase two. These may have to wait. How are you making those decisions?
Absolutely. That's a little trickier, because there's a couple different layers. Obviously moving into phase two was great news for us. And then, we'll take a look at our plans for the summer and evaluate each program. And part of that evaluation will be talking to the instructor or the contractor that does the program. I mean, we obviously want those people to be comfortable coming back. We have to look at CDC standards in terms of how many people, can take part in the class. Can those type of programs still happen with some of the, social distancing guidelines and mask requirements? Whenever you're talking about programs, we've kind of separated in indoor programs and outdoor programs. And then there's a level of risk with each one. And, when you're just entering phase 2, you don't want to push the envelope too much. We're trying to just ease into it. But yes, there are definitely going to be some programs that are very easy to bring back versus other programs that present, a whole different level of challenges. So now that we got word that phase 2 is a reality, as a program staff, along with, all of our staff really, is to have these discussions with both the staff in the office as a department, and then also the people, the part-time employees, the contractors, the instructors, to make sure that we're both on the same page. And then you've got to have a period of time where people, can look at the information. Tony's got to get the word out, and they got to pull the trigger to register and all of those things. So it's not something that happens overnight. We were just really, kind of pumped to see the governor, move us into phase 2, starting on Friday, because then it allows us to, at least the discussion becomes real. You can only plan as far as you can go without knowing firm dates and whether we're going to move into phase 2 or phase 3 or whatever it is. But now we feel like, we're actually going to be able to get some things going.
Awesome. Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Chris, you touched on it a second ago about basic rec. Can we talk a little bit about where we kind of stand with that and what you're hoping for, what that may look like in the second segment?
Yeah, I've got a lot of information for our summer camp program, Camp Basic Rec. It's a lot of information to cover, so I think that would be great for the next segment.
All right, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, Chris is going to give us all of the information for the Basic Rec program. Again, we are talking with Tony and Chris from Frederick County Parks and Rec Department. We have pre-recorded today's show on a hot and humid Wednesday afternoon. I can't believe these guys aren't outside on a Zoom screen with me as we are recording today's show. But we'll be back and continue this conversation with them in just a couple of minutes. Expecting to hear a commercial? That's what this is, sorta. First, I want to thank you for listening to the Valley Today podcast. You're one of thousands who listen to the show this way every month. Sometimes it's because our listeners are busy and they want to listen when it fits their schedule, or it's a guest of the show who want to hear what they sounded like when they were on the radio. We even have a few binge listeners who listen to a week's worth at a time. Can you even imagine? So if you want those people, your potential customers, to hear your message, then this could have been your ad. And the bonus, your commercial isn't restricted to just 30 or 60 seconds. You can take up to 2 minutes to talk to those customers. And there's even the opportunity to be an exclusive sponsor of the Valley Today podcast, which also gets you on-air mentions at the end of every show. If any of this sounds interesting to you, give me a call at the station, 540-635-4121, or send me an email to janet@theriver953.com. You can also find all my contact info by searching for me on theriver953.com. Welcome back to the Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. It is Frederick County Parks and Rec Day. Tony Baker and Chris Conyer are sharing a Zoom screen with me. Well, at least Tony is sharing a Zoom screen with me. All we see of Chris is a black box with his name written in it. Because as he told me when he first logged on, he has the very first laptop ever issued to Frederick County Parks and Rec, and it does not have a camera on it.
That's a true story.
and it takes about an hour to turn on.
Yeah, exactly.
And it probably weighs 14 or 15 pounds. So at least he can do his little exercises lifting up the laptop to walk around the house.
That's true. That is true story.
So, Chris, when we went to break, I had asked you about basic rec, and you told me a little bit when we stopped for a couple of minutes that it is going to be the same and yet different. So, tell me what's going on with basic rec in phase 2.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity to provide some information to our parents. As you know from us being on your show in previous years, the Camp Basic Rec program is probably our most popular, is our most popular summer program. It's just, the last couple years, it sells out relatively quick. I think Tony mentioned a couple minutes ago that last year, all of our slots were sold out for the summer by Memorial Day. And we had 7 locations taking anywhere between 40 at the smaller sites to 70 at the bigger locations. And our staff has done a fabulous job over the years of kind of, developing a nice reputation. We do so many fun activities, and it's just a great summer camp. So this year, we weren't able to open in phase 1. So we were kind of waiting for the governor to phase 2. So we're super happy because we're going to launch Camp Basic Rec. The first day of camp will be Monday, June 15th, and registration is going to open this Monday, June 8th. So that's the good news. The good news is thumbs up. Basic Rec in the summer is going to be back. We're looking forward to, seeing some kids, that kind of stuff. Now, the registration on June 8th, we're going to have to do a, kind of like a priority registration just because the slots are even limited this year because of the whole COVID-19 situation. And then the bad news for us is it is going to be a little modified to start. We're only opening 3 locations to start just because, we want to be comfortable. There's a lot of layers to opening. We've had to lay off a lot of part-time staff when school closed, because when school closed, our basic rec program in the school year closed as well. So, some of those part-time staff, you got to reach out to them and make sure they're coming back. So it takes a while to staff. So because of that, we're kind of starting off a little slower. The other problem is with the guidelines in phase 2, the site can only be so big. Like right now, you have to stay under 50. So, and that includes staff.
Right.
So right now, the max we can take per location is 36 kids. And there may be some flexibility to take a handful more depending on how it shakes out. But we're starting with just the 36. So my point is it's going to fill up for sure, rather quickly. So the silver lining to that is if parents don't get in or maybe they don't need it right away, the plan is as we move through the summer and go from phase 2 to phase 3, we'll obviously be looking at opening additional locations and additional camp slots, especially if that 50 group size increases, then we can start the road back to to kind of like a normal camp setting. So to start, we're going to be at Evendale, Greenwood Mill, and Gainsborough. The reason we picked those is they're spread out north, south, and east. They're traditionally some of our bigger locations, and they provide the nicest facility as far as space goes. They have a full-size gym, plus they have an activity room and an exercise room, along with like a foyer area. So it allows you to spread out and practice the social distancing and all these things. Because when we open, we have had to be clued into, there are a lot of different guidelines through the CDC when it comes to opening a summer camp location in the world of childcare. Everything from, safety, cleaning and disinfecting, signing in, social distancing. I mean, the list just goes on and on. So from a comfort level, we want to make sure that we're comfortable opening, we're providing the service to parents that need it, and that we're doing it safely and responsibly according to how the Virginia Department of Social Services and CDC requires you to do so. So it's tricky, but I'm super excited, and I know our staff is excited to be able to see some of our kids. So, and we'll have more details. We're gonna firm up our details tomorrow morning as a staff on exactly how registration is gonna look. But to start off, we'll have to do a priority registration for people that have used our program in the past, or Frederick County residents, something like that. Because we do take people. We have people from West Virginia and Clark County, Winchester City. And typically when you have a lot of locations and a lot of slots, it hasn't been that much of an issue to try to get everybody in. This is a way different. It's way trickier. And plus we want to get our summer camp going. We want to get kids active. We want to get kids involved. Parents want to get their kids out of the house in a safe environment. From a programming standpoint, it'll work. I'm excited to launch. Like I said, as we move through the summer, and if Virginia stays true to the way it's going now and the trend, and we move to phase 3, then there'll be even more opportunity to take on more campers, more locations, and start returning back to the standard camp and the awesome camp that we've had, the past 5, 6, 7 years. But it's hard.
Do you think that registration is going to be strictly online, or people aren't going to be coming to the office necessarily to register? I know a lot of places have gone to online only registration options.
That's a great question. It will be, we're obviously going to strongly encourage online registration. That makes life easier. If for some reason you can't do online, or, we have different situations, Department of Social Services kids, there's different things like that. You can still register in person. You're going to have to call in and make an appointment. And then, you come in, you'll meet with a customer service person from our department, and they'll get you squared away. And while you're waiting for your appointment time, we will reserve your slot. So you can still call in and say, I definitely want a slot at Edendale, and then we'll reserve that slot. And then as long as you keep your appointment time, say you're coming in at a certain time, 2:00 on a Thursday, to take care of your paperwork, et cetera, and you show up for that appointment, then you'll lock your spot in. So I want to strongly encourage online for sure, but I also know that there's a lot of situations where, online just doesn't work with every situation. So we are going to have that in-person appointment. And the other thing is we can't have, everybody showing up at the office, at one time trying to register. That's not going to be good for anybody as well.
So, Tony, you touched on this a second ago during our break with a post that you made on Facebook, and Chris referenced it a little while ago too about some of the different posts that you guys have made about activities. Is your Facebook page right now the best place for people to go get up-to-date information about basic rec programs, about what's happening when and how it's going to look?
Yeah, it's probably the best place right now. Our homepage is also another good place to go to. We have a document there that we keep up to date with kind of, what's going on. It's got dates on it in terms of like when the shelters will be opening or ball fields, that type of thing. So I would say between the website and the Facebook page, those are two good avenues that will get you to the same document that I'm talking about. So that's a good way to find out what's going on.
And then I guess the second piece of all of this is still just going to be patience, because phase 2 takes place on Friday. That doesn't mean that on Friday everything is magically going to be ready to go and open and full steam ahead. It's going to take some time to put things in place before it's fully functional.
Yeah. When Friday rolls around, about the only thing that's really going to change for us is that our sand volleyball courts are going to be open. So, it's going to take a little time. Next week's going to be kind of Monday's a big day for us in terms of registration for shelters and ball fields and that type of thing to get going. But really, this whole summer is going to be kind of something that's evolving the whole time. Our activity guide that is online right now for summer, I can tell you is not completely accurate. And it's probably the 6th or 7th edition that I've put on there. So it's something
we're on plan F.
Yeah. So it's something that is, it's just evolving, and I think everyone's going to have to work with everyone else and to make this, get through it all. But we've got a lot of great programs coming up, and we have a lot of great amenities and things in our parks that people can get out and use a little more freely now that things are starting to ease up. So it's a small step, but it's exciting, and we'll take it kind of as it comes.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, as a staff, we would love to get things back to full force. It's just, you just got to be careful. And I know, there's going to be some parents and some participants, especially with the camp program, that are kind of going to be on the outside looking in. But again, just like you said, Janet, I hope that people have patience. And as we move through the summer, our goal is to get these programs running, to open in more slots, to open more facilities, to provide more services, so you do have the opportunity to get back into your routine, to get your kids back into a routine, and to do some of these great programs. It's just like Tony said, it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, it's a lot of information to kind of process when you're trying to get this stuff back up and running.
Well, and I am pretty sure that if anybody can pull it off, my two fun squad guys, who I guess now, based on how much you can do, you're fun sized and not fun squad. You're not full size candy bars anymore. You're just fun size. I know you guys will be.
COVID took a bite out of us, so we got to try to get it back.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to wrap up today's episode. We have been chatting with Tony Baker and Chris Conyer from Frederick County Parks and Rec. I will say their website is fcprd.net. See, Tony, I've got it committed to memory now. Follow them on Facebook as well, and you'll get all of the information about Basic Rec Camp, summer camp programs. I'm sure Tony's posted things on there about the free fishing this weekend. You'll be able to listen to today's show this afternoon up on the website as well. Guys, I hope you take advantage of what I think might be a beautiful weekend and get outside and enjoy it. And maybe we'll have you back in just a couple of weeks to give me an update on how things are going, if that works.
That works.
That works great.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yes, as always, thanks for having us, and we appreciate the time.
We are going to wrap up today's episode. I will have a brand new show ready to go for you tomorrow, a few minutes after noon. I joked earlier, we're recording this on a Wednesday afternoon. You're hearing it on Thursday, and I got no idea who's my guest on Friday. So you're going to have to show up with me at a few minutes after noon and find out right alongside of me. So I'll meet you back here then.